Hey, welcome to Cooking with Kenny G. Now on today's video, I am going to show you how to make this beautiful pasta dish. Now this is using those wild chanterelle mushrooms from Tofino, British Columbia. Video's up here, make sure you watch it. I had some left over, so I decided I was going to make a pasta dish, nice dinner, show you how, or it could be a lunch even. Now I'm going to run you through how to do this, going to give you all the ingredients. Super easy dish to make, shouldn't take you too long, maybe 30 minutes, and you've got a restaurant-worthy dish. Look at this thing, fresh chanterelle mushrooms, got fresh Parmesan cheese in there, asparagus, spinach, chicken, white wine, chicken stock that you're gonna make. And again, I'm gonna show you how to do all that too. There will be videos for that. Make sure you stick around to the end too, and then I'm gonna give you a little chefy chef presentation on this. So let's get after it. Now remember how this works. Now I'm going to run you through the equipment that you're going to need and then all the ingredients. I'm going to show you how to prep it up. Then we're going to get it together, show you what this dish looks like. Okay, so for equipment, you're going to need a chef's knife for this one. Frying pan, I brought out the big dog for this one just because I'm doing pasta for 2 people. I need a little bit of space. You can use a smaller one if you're doing for less people, of course. And then big pot on the stove for the boiling water for the pasta. Now, I'm not really going to show you how to cook pasta. I'm sure you know how to do that. Just make sure you've got lots of boiling salted water so you can infuse some of that flavor into the pasta. It doesn't develop a lot of flavor after it's cooked. It will get the flavor from the sauce, but I like to get a salty water there, almost like salt water from the ocean. Lots of flavor into the pasta, but it doesn't make it too salty. Let's run through all the ingredients you're going to need. Now the crowning jewel of this dish, of course, is those fresh chanterelle mushrooms from Tofino, British Columbia. Fresh out of the forest, they're absolutely gorgeous. Gonna use those in there. Now make sure you stick around to the end, of course, because I'm gonna show you how to chef this dish up. I've got about 2 cups of fresh spinach here. I've got some asparagus. I'll show you how to prep those up. Again, just gonna use like little tips or little pieces of asparagus. I've got a couple of fresh chicken breasts here. Now these are quite large. I'm gonna do about 180 grams or about 6 ounces per person. So I'm gonna do about 12 ounces. I'll cut all that up, maybe use it for stir fry or something else. Red pepper here, that's for color, flavor. Gotta have some color to this. We've got some fresh Parmesan cheese. Now this is about 2 ounces here, 60 grams of Parmesan cheese. Just gonna grate that in. Again, I'll show you how that looks at the end. I've got 3 shallots here. I've got a couple of cloves of garlic. I've got about 4 cloves of garlic. I'm gonna make this really garlicky. It's gonna be super tasty though. I've got some fresh herbs. I got some lemon thyme, I've got some Italian parsley, and some chives. I'll show you when those go in. Fresh out of the garden, absolutely gorgeous. And I got about half of a fresh lemon here. I'm gonna use the lemon juice from that and the lemon zest again, just to give it a little bit of brightness at the end. So we've gone through all the ingredients that you can eat for this dish. I've got the equipment, we went through that. And like I always say, let's put on the apron, grab the knives, fire up the stove, get after it. All right, you remember that word that I like to use, mise en place, again, fancy French word, just means preparation. I think literally means everything in its place. I am Canadian, so I should know my French. Anyway, I know the French culinary terms. So with the lemon, just gonna zest the outside of it. I wanna use that to finish the pasta with. So just the zest off the outside, using my microplane. Highly recommend getting one of those. And then just squeeze the lemon juice and set that aside. And then just juice that lemon. Now the fresh Parmesan, again, like I said, about 60 grams or 2 ounces. You can add more if you want or less if you don't want it. I like to use the fresh Parmesan, great flavor in it. You can use the shaker Parmesan, but this is by far better. Works good, beautiful. We'll just set that aside. And again, we're gonna finish the dish with this one. Spinach, we don't have to do anything with. It's washed, so it's just ready to go. This is just baby spinach. Now, if you use bigger spinach, you can just break it up into smaller pieces. Now, the shallots and the garlic. For the shallot, just cut it in half. Just peel the skin off the outside of it. And then we're gonna dice it up very fine. Put that aside. Now make sure you have the root end away from you. That'll hold the onion together. If you turn it around the other way, when you cut it, it'll fall apart. Sorry, the shallot. And then just thin slices, keeping that root end together so it doesn't fall apart. And cut it in half. Be careful of your fingers. Remember, safety never takes a holiday. And then just dice it small. That way you get the flavor in there, but you're not biting into a big piece of shallot. There we go. And put that in your container. Now the garlic, I don't really know if I have to show you how to do that, but just peel it and then just put it in the garlic press. Now I like to use the garlic press because it makes it a little bit smaller. You can slice it if you want to, but if you do that, just make sure you slice it very thin. Nobody wants to bite into a big chunk of garlic. That'll be really overpowering. So you get the garlic there. I did 4 cloves here. There's 2 full-size ones and then 2 small ones. So let's call it 3 cloves of garlic for this recipe. Again, we're not baking, so this is more of a method than anything else. All right, we've got that. This right here is the crowning glory of this dish, the fresh chanterelle mushrooms. Now I'm gonna save a couple of the little tiny ones. I'll show you why. You gotta stick around to the end, and I'm gonna show you a chef it up presentation. So there's a little tease for you. Maybe about 6 there. And then with the chanterelles, make sure that they're clean. Wipe off, I don't wash them though. You don't want them too wet. Just make sure you wipe off any of the pine that's on there or any of the moss. And then just take the chanterelles and just tear them apart. Don't use a knife to cut them up. They look much better when they're natural like this. These are absolutely gorgeous. Now for this dish, I'm gonna use about 400 mils or a cup and a half of chanterelle mushrooms. You can add more or put in less. It's up to you totally, but I like to add lots of chanterelles in it. That's, again, like I say, it's my weakness. I love these mushrooms. All right, and you just set those aside. Remember, mise en place. What we're doing is we're getting everything ready, and then we're gonna start cooking. You're also gonna need some heavy whipping cream for this one. This is 33%. If you can find 36%, that's great. The more fat that's in it, the more richness. Again, we're not eating a ton of it, so why not indulge once in a while? A little bit of white wine to cook with. And then of course some chicken stock here. Now, if you look up here, watch that video there, show you how to make your own chicken stock. This has no chemicals in it, just packed full of flavor. It's gonna make this dish so awesome. Now we'll get the red pepper ready too. A little tip I'm gonna show you is make sure you wash the pepper again. You never know who's handled it before you get it. Just take the pepper this way. I like to cut it down the sides. Just take the outside of it off. Cut the bottom off and see all the seeds are there. And then the seeds aren't in the pepper that you're cutting up. I hate having seeds all over the place and then have to try and clean them up. And then just cut these in small strips and then dice them up. Now for this dish, I used 1 medium bell pepper, red bell pepper. You know what I forgot? The blue scraper. Always gotta remember, the handy dandy blue scraper. Great for cleaning up your cutting board. Let's get that asparagus prepped up. Now I've got the asparagus here, it's been washed. Again, make sure you wash it well. Sometimes the tips get a little bit sandy. Now, if you've got pieces that are a little bit smaller than a pencil, like this size here, these ones I don't peel down because they don't really get too tough at the bottom. Just cut off just a little dry end that's on there. Now the thicker ones like this one here, you want to cut a little bit of that hard stuff off, but not too much. Asparagus is very expensive. And then what I do is I take my tea peeler and then just peel at least about half of the asparagus down like that. That takes off that tough part that's on there. I'm just gonna cut them into, it's about 1-inch pieces on a little bit of an angle. Makes them look bigger. It's all about aesthetics too when you're cooking. Now for the fresh herbs, again, make sure they're washed and dried. The chives, I'm just gonna cut them into very small dice. There we go. Blue scraper, fantastic. Now I just like to use the leaves of it. The stems, I just discard those. But now the lemon thyme, just strip it off. You don't necessarily have to use lemon thyme. Just get your herbs into a bundle there, a sharp knife. Now I like to scrunch them up as much as I can, fingers out of the way. Then just give it a rough chop to start, and then just tip of the knife on the cutting board. Hold your knife here with your fingers out of the way, but on top to give you some stability. And then just run your knife through. Chop, 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 chop. You would not believe the smell coming out of this lemon thyme. It is unbelievable. Wish I had smell-o-vision on there. And then you can just add that in with the chives. All right, I've got all the non-protein items done. Now I'm just gonna do a little clean up here and then get a fresh cutting board, and I'm gonna cut the chicken, show you how that's done. clean cutting board. Now the reason I do the chicken last is I want to risk any cross-contamination that might happen with my knife or with the raw chicken, anything like that. So better safe than sorry. Remember, safety never takes a holiday, especially food safety. It's always working. Does that make any sense? It makes sense to me. So a knife, well, obviously a knife. Take the chicken. Now what I like to do is take the fillet off if it's on there. And then I'll take my knife, put the flat side down so it's a little bit rounded, level it off, and that way then all the chicken is all the same thickness. And cut it into small strips. I don't want to have big chunks of chicken in there, just because it takes a longer time to cook. I want this to be a quick cooking dish. There we go, there's our chicken all cut up. Again, nice thin pieces, everything's about the same thickness. I'll just get this area clean, wash my hands, sanitize everything, and then let's start cooking. First things first, I'm gonna cook the chicken. So I've got the pan nice and hot. We're gonna start with a little bit of olive oil. I'm gonna put about 2 tablespoons of olive oil in there. Not too much, I don't want it really greasy, but I wanna be able to cook the chicken up. It's nice and hot. And then let's get that chicken in there. Start cooking that chicken. Don't stir it around too much either, just sort of mix it and then let it sit, sear, and then stir it again. Chicken's cooked good. I'm gonna add in the shallots now and the garlic. That's gonna add some flavor into the chicken and also into the dish too. Gonna cook that for about 2 minutes. 2 minutes have passed. Now I forgot to show you, but this is what the asparagus looks like. I'm not gonna put it in yet though, I like to keep it nice and green, but see, cut on an angle, chefed it up a little bit. Makes it look a little bit nicer than just square cut. Again, that's a restaurant thing. I'm gonna put my mushrooms in there, start sauteing those. Let's give those a couple of minutes, and then I'm gonna put in my white wine and some of my other ingredients. I'm gonna add in those whole ones too. I'm gonna cook those, but I'm also gonna keep an eye on them because they're gonna be picked out and put on top of the dish for a little chef it up garnish. It's been a few minutes now. As you can see, those chanterelles are starting to collapse down a little bit. They're gonna release a little bit of their liquid. Now it's time to add in my white wine. It's about 100 mils or 1/4 of a cup of white wine in there. If you got a little bit left, you can just finish it off. I'm not driving anywhere so I can drink. I'm gonna add in the peppers so those are cooked. Now I'm gonna add in some of that beautiful chicken stock. I guarantee you're gonna love it if you make it. Again, I'm gonna put in that's about 200 mils, or not quite a cup. I like my pasta to be a little bit saucy. I'm gonna let that cook for a few minutes. Put a little bit of salt and pepper in there too. Okay, that's been a few minutes cooking now. Chanterelles are nice and cooked. The chicken is fully cooked. Give it a little taste. That is getting there. I'm gonna put some of the heavy cream in, about 100 mils or so, about 1/4 of a cup. I'm just gonna let that reduce down, concentrate a little bit, concentrate the flavors. Be a couple of minutes again. Almost time to add in the other ingredients. I'm gonna take out those little mushrooms that I put in there. These are gonna be on top for garnish. These are what I'm gonna use to chef it up. Now I'm gonna add in the asparagus, cook that slightly. I wanna keep that nice and bright, keep the good flavors and the good colors in there. Don't want to cook it too much. There's nothing worse than overcooked asparagus. I cooked those for about 1 minute. Asparagus looks cooked to me. Nice and green, nice and bright. Let's finish this dish off. Let's add in that spinach. Just want to collapse it down. I want to cook it too much. Let's put that lemon zest in. Keep the flavors nice and bright. A little bit of lemon juice in there. Let's go with a tablespoon of lemon juice. Right near the end, keep it nice and bright. Now, time to add the pasta in. Now, I had the pasta cooked and just warmed. I find it's better if you have the pasta cooked. Put my portions, 1, 2. Those are the perfect tongs. A little salt and pepper in there. Turn it right down to 0. Let's get those fresh herbs in there. Save a little bit for the garnish at the end. See why I got the big frying pan there? Don't want to make a mess all over my stove. Beautiful. Now, fresh Parmesan. I'm gonna save some of this for the top too, but I wanna mix some of that in there. I'm gonna show you plate presentation, and then you can enjoy. Almost across the finish line, time for presentation now. Now, I like to use a plate if you want. You can use a bowl. I guess that's me just being a chef and all. I like the presentation better on a plate. Oh yeah, a little twirl on there. Now, my spoon, let's grab some of that beautiful garnish we spent so much time prepping and cooking. Get those mushrooms, chicken, peppers, asparagus. Let's get some of that sauce on there, that beautiful chicken stock, whipping cream, white wine. Spoon a little bit of that on there. Take some of those fresh herbs, just a little bit, hit it with that. Some of that fresh Parmesan cheese on top. And then those little chanterelle mushrooms that we had, our little pièce de la résistance, a little garnish for the top. Chef it up nicely. And bring it a little closer so you can see this dish. Chanterelle, asparagus, spinach, chicken, pasta. Now you made that yourself. How about you enjoy it? Thanks so much for watching. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed it. I like to keep you entertained, or at least I think I do anyway. Now, if you enjoyed the video, remember, give it a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button. Well, don't smash it too hard. You don't want to break your computer. Give it a click anyway. I got lots of other videos to watch too, so tell you what, grab yourself a fork and a spoon, glass of wine too, don't forget the wine, and enjoy the dish again. Thanks so much for watching. This isn't gonna be pretty, but I gotta give it a go. And the white wine too, mouthful. Enjoy.